Now I know what everyone's saying. Ghost of Tsushima has finally fallen victim to the woke mind virus, and it's become what we hated the most in the video gaming industry, which is following the trend of just having strong female lead protagonists that are annoying, aggressive, and unlikable. And I think that's the thing people are reacting to when they see female protagonists now, because the list of female protagonists we've been seeing in the video game industry have all those attributes, and I think that is lending to an overall overreaction to Ghost of Yotei, which is a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, which has a lead female protagonist. I think that is the thing that is getting a reaction from a lot of people in the audience, where people are saying they're going to skip this game based on it having a female lead, and I can't really blame them actually, but I can convince them that this game will probably be different from all the terrible games we've been seeing for the past 5 years come out from the video gaming industry that are subjected to these massive political progressive leanings that have invaded the space. Simply put, this game is different, and I think you have to approach it differently because it's coming from the studio that still made Ghost of Tsushima. All the people that developed the game are still there, and they're coming back to make a second game. And I think with this game, you just have to give it a chance and look at the developers and see where they're going, because they already delivered with Ghost of Tsushima, and I think they may be able to deliver with this. And I think there's a big difference between this game and all the other games that have come out that have upheld that stereotype of having that terrible female protagonist that we just all hate playing as. And this is why I say Ghost of Yotei is not a woke progressive disaster in the making. I think it's quite the opposite. I think it's going to show us what a real Japanese game with a female protagonist is supposed to look like from real professionals, unlike what we're seeing with Assassin's Creed Shadows, where we're getting choppy gameplay, overall underwhelming graphics, and just gameplay that doesn't look interesting or engaging at all. I think that's the main thing that we have to see the differences between AC Shadows and of course Ghost of Tsushima 2, Ghost of Yotei, and there will be some glaring differences. When you just see the trailer for itself in comparison to AC Shadows, you see a high quality game from Ghost of Yotei, and I think that's the stark difference I saw when I was watching the trailer. I was like, wow, this looks amazing, this looks detailed, this looks catered to, where the developers actually know what they're doing. Sucker Punch are the devs for this game, and you just look at the list of games they have produced, they have no failures in their catalog, and I think that's the main thing people have to realize about this game. This is still being made by talented developers that made a game previously that won Game of the Year that every gamer is praising to this day. The developers haven't changed, the people making the stories haven't changed, the executives haven't changed. These are the same people coming out with something of a high quality and standard, and it's based on true things. There are warriors during this time period. In the 1600s, there were some female warriors in this time period that fought with their husbands in war when times became desperate. And this was usually nearing a loss of a war, where these women will come out and fight to the death because they didn't want to be captured and they didn't want to go through the shame and embarrassment of losing their honor to another man. So there was this logic where, okay, if you're a woman, you have to fight and defend the family in the worst time, and you have to protect your honor. And this was the case of training female warriors and martial artists of samurai families. And I think this leaves a wide open space to actually tell a good story with this character if you follow that logic. And I think that's the team we're working with here. They probably read the stories, the history, why this was happening, why the female warriors rose up at this time period during that time fighting. And it was usually to protect the family during a losing situation where you needed all hands on deck, and this was the time to fight or die. And I think that's the thing that we're going to see in this game, where we're going to have a high impactful intense situation with the beautiful dynamics and graphics that we saw from Ghost of Tsushima. So I think all the people doubting this game, I understand your doubts. I think it's reasonable to have those doubts, because all we've seen so far from the AAA gaming industry were terrible female protagonists all throughout this year, even now specifically. You can go back to what we saw with Dustborn, one of the most annoying characters I've ever saw. A bully, a whiner, aggressive, unlikable, an overall unattractive person you want to play as. And I think that's the thing we keep seeing from these video games these past few years, where we're playing terrible characters that we don't like and we're being forced to play as them. And I think that's the situation we saw with Dustborn. I think that's the situation we're seeing now with Assassin's Creed, where the character just doesn't even have a personality, has a standard girl boss personality of blank stare, aggressiveness and overall unlikability that we usually see from these video games. And of course, you can go back to Concord that has all of those aspects in every single one of the characters, and that's where that frustration is coming from the player base that are saying, oh, I'm not gonna play this, they're gone woke, they're just doing this because they're being forced to by the executives, they want to placate Sweet Baby Inc., they want to do all those things. I won't blame you, that probably has a little bit of part of it where they're like, okay, these companies, the executives, they want us to make something more diverse, but we make games in Japan where there's no diversity, so they probably looked up for some female stories, and they actually found a good female story to actually tell, because there's a lot of female warrior stories around the period that they're setting. This is over 300 years in the future, so the original character Jin from Ghost of Tsushima won't be there. He's not immortal, so they're gonna choose a different story, and that was the intent of the developer themselves. They said they want to make something in a different time period with different characters and start a new origin story, and I think that is a smart thing to do as a developer, where you want to start a new story with a different character where you can explore different themes. And I think if they carry on with some of the historical facts around these warriors, we could get a great story, because this is not going to be the typical Dustborn, Concord, Star Wars Outlaws type of character, girl boss, lesbian that doesn't like men and is aggressive and unlikable. That's typically what we would get from an American studio. But if they follow the standards of that time, this is probably a mother trying to defend her family, save a husband, save a brother, save somebody that is in line with some of the heroic standards that we used to see in video games and just entertainment in general. And you can build off a story from this character, so that's why I'm slightly excited for this. I'm looking forward to this. I think this game has a high possibility of being a great game, especially from a studio that has only made great games. I'm talking about the makers of Infamous 2, Second Son, Sly Cooper. These are games I grew up in love playing. Ghost of Tsushima was a massive success, showing there's still high quality standards. All the team members from that game are coming back. All the story creators and writers are coming back, so I expect something of high quality, and I think we should keep our hopes up. I know it's easy to fall into this, oh, everything is a political progressive movement to take over a game. I think this is not the case. I think there's probably slight influence where they were pushed to probably maybe add some diversity, and the most logical way to do that is just follow a female warrior with a good story. And I think that might be a positive thing, where we actually just get an amazing story because of that, because the developers are actually talented and know what they're doing. So don't look down on Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is an amazing studio, and we can expect great things with this new game, and that's what I'm looking forward to. But you tell me what you think about the situation. You think Ghost of Tsushima went woke? I don't think that's the case. I think it's quite the opposite. I think we're going to see something amazing come from this studio. They only make hits, so I'm looking forward to it. So tell me what you think about it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.